This is the Jocko Underground Podcast, sitting here with Echo, Charlie, EC. We got some Q&A to get to. Let's do it.
It's true. All right, advice for the people. That's what I like to call it.
You
For
can
me
call it
too,
that.
by the way. I'm over
Me
here.
too.
you
Hey,
know.
we're getting asked questions. We're figuring stuff out.
Figuring
we're working
stuff
through
out.
it.
Yes, sir. Hey, Jocko Echo. I live in the UK, and I'm thinking of joining the Army. However, over the past few years, I've seen more news stories of sexual assault of women working in the Army by other military personnel. I hope this does not come across as disrespectful for veterans, but these stories are making me nervous to join. Do you think it is generally safe for women to join? And do you have any advice for self-defense in this environment? I found your advice incredibly helpful to improve my life and career. Thank you.
Well, I was in the military for 20 years. Do I believe it's a safe environment for women? Yep. That being said, I was mostly around men. But there was definitely women I interacted with through my entire career. So do I think it's a safe environment? Generally speaking, yes, I do think it's a safe environment. Have there been problems? Yes, there have been problems. I would say there's probably more oversight right now in the military than at any other time when it comes to like sexual harassment and this kind of stuff, because it's been an issue in the past and no one wants it to be an issue. So yes, I think currently and going forward, it should be an environment that is as safe as other environments that you might be working in. I think you have to pay attention to what job you take inside the Army, because there's lots of different jobs, and different jobs, some jobs have more women, some jobs have less women. So like administration, intel, medical, like there's usually a lot of women in there. Some of the combat arms or more combat-oriented jobs like armor or infantry or artillery or cavalry, so those types of jobs, generally speaking, will have more men. So I think if you're concerned about safety, I'd rather be around more women, right? And then, you got to just pay attention, just like in anywhere else. You got to pay attention. You got to watch this vibe that you give off, the signals that you give, because some men that they take, you're being nice to them. Yeah. And I don't want to make you paranoid, but you do have to pay attention to make sure that the person that you're dealing with isn't a weirdo, right? Most men aren't. Most men are going to be professional with you. Like, it's fine. But there will be occasionally you're going to say, oh, thank you. And they're going to think that means that you love them. You know what I mean? There's dudes that are like that.
Yep, there is. And
so you have to pay attention to that. And some men take kindness as flirting. Some men take kindness as like actual sexual advances, like it's bizarro world. So you have to pay attention, but you have to pay attention to that anyways, right? You have to pay attention to that in any environment. But when you're in the military, you're probably working with more men, generally speaking, than you would be in some other industries. Now, if you're a woman in construction, there's probably more men to women ratio than there is in the military. So, yep, pay attention to that. And then for self-defense, of course, train Jiu Jitsu, because that's the best thing to train for self-defense. But even more important than Jiu Jitsu and physical self-defense is situational awareness, and making sure that you're paying attention to what's happening, that you're paying attention to scenarios and seeing them before they become bad. So whether that's looking across the parking lot and thinking, oh, there's a guy over there that's standing and he's not by a car, what's happening, and leaving. That's one scenario. But there's also that scenario where you've got the guy that's paying a lot of attention to you, and he's always by the photocopy machine when you're by it, and you got to watch out for that, because what kind of signals are you giving off there? And what's this person's deal? And how are they receiving those signals? So those are the things you just got to pay attention to. And it goes both ways, but I'm answering your question, not a question from a guy who would write and ask me, hey, I'm in an environment now where I'm with a bunch of women. What do I need to watch out for? Same stuff. Just interacting humans, interacting chimpanzees, right? There's a underlying tone that can come to the surface. It might not come to the surface in your head, but it can come to the surface in somebody else's mind. And so that's what we got to pay attention to. So, so if you're aware, you'll be okay. You'll serve your country, and you'll likely get a lot out of that service. And thank you for your service if you end up joining.
Is there, I mean, I know this is the UK, but in the United States military, is there a lot of co-ed scenarios?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when I joined the Navy, the first deployment I went on a ship, there was no women, or maybe like one or two.
Yeah.
By the second deployment, there was like a dozen women.
And you were already in the teams or whatever?
Yep, I was in the teams. And then fast forward to the year 1999, and I went on another shipboard deployment. So this is now, first shipboard deployment was like 94, then 95 or 96, and then now 99. And this is when women started riding ships. Like I was during that time period. By my last deployment on a ship, it was an aircraft carrier, and there was like 500 women and 5,000 people total.
Yeah. It always feels like, because, some places, schools, freaking training scenarios, they're like, hey, no, girls and boys, male, female, they're separate, 100%. There's all boys school for that reason. Girls are a distraction. And in a perfect world, it's like, no, the guy will just be like, hey, you know what? The rule is no fraternization. Okay, no fraternization. In a perfect world, but bro, that's never the case. Bro, I worked at a place, they said no fraternization. It was written down on the thing. The owner was messing around with the waitresses. It's like no one cares about the rule. It's like the human nature part of it is so powerful, you know, that it's like, bro, the rule's not going to freaking do anything, So I wonder about that. What about boot camp? Are girls and guys together?
I don't know. I know that I know when I went through. That is a little excerpt of what we are doing on the Jocko Underground podcast. So if you want to continue to listen, go to jockounderground.com and subscribe. And we're doing this to mitigate our reliance on external platforms so we are not subject to their control. And we're doing it so we can give you more control, more interaction, more direct connections, better communications with us, strengthen this legion of troopers that are in the game with us. So thank you. It's jockounderground.com. It costs $8.18 a month. And if you can't afford to support us, we can still support you. Just email assistance@jockounderground.com and we'll get you taken care of. Until then, we will see you mobilized underground.